Gardner Road because that is a designated truck route.
But 56 we couldn't restrict trucks on, right?
Correct, that's KDOT.
But we can on Gardner Road. So, I mean, they could go all the way to Edgerton and back through Homestead if they wanted, right?
For through traffic, that would be correct.
So, I mean, does everyone agree that trucks on Gardner Road is not a good idea with couple new schools there? Can we move forward to change that truck route ordinance?
You know, I know it's been changed a few times, probably within the last 5 or 6 years. I know the last time that it was brought forward, it was amended before it was approved to pull Waverly Road out of it, because Waverly, 167th up to Waverly and Waverly over to US 56 was part of the truck route, and Moonlight south of the railroad tracks and over 183rd Street was part of it. I don't believe that's part of it now. What we do, aside from access to 56, is the matter of the city council, and if we've got a majority of members that are interested in studying whether or not we should amend the truck routes further, we could probably move forward on that. Is there other members of the governing body that are interested in that conversation?
I'd be willing to explore it.
Yeah, I think the only question that needs to be asked, though, as we do that is we do need to have an understanding of the economic impact of changing that to a truck route. If we want that to be a business corridor, if we think that's one of the viable solutions when we're going through the development plans and other things, if we close that off, what impact is that going to have in the business community? So that's a question for Mike and his staff to take into consideration as we do all the research on it, to make sure that we understand all of that.
But we also need to take a look at the 9,600 pounds, or, I'm sorry, 9,600.
Yeah, no, I'm not discounting anything that you said. You look at the total solution and not just, let's stop trucks and hope for the best.
But really,
You have to
I mean,
understand all pieces of
the
it.
safety of the people that drive and commute to their homes and walk to school is certainly paramount to
Again, I did not discount
We have-
make of what you said. Let's just go from there.
We have an exit to a state highway and an exit off of a interstate highway to a major trucking facility, so it's hard for me to believe that, you know, and I think you were actually in favor of not having the Zimmer property turned into a truck route, you know, from the Zimmer property to Gardner Road.
It's a different conversation, but I believe it was they were asking for too much in developments and concessions.
So I think there's a consensus that we
Yes.
want
Yes,
to
that's
look
what
at
I
the
was,
truck route.
so, can we maybe work session it in January and then bring something back? Second meeting?
Okay.
I mean, do we need to work session it or just,
Well,
I mean, what,
We need to talk about it. I think there needs to be some study on this.
what,
I mean, I'm okay with just bringing something back, but if we can figure out exactly what it is that we want, and this isn't the time, you want to get it on the agenda, you've got the support to get it on the agenda, now it's a matter of,
what?
of getting it on the agenda and then approved.
Why don't we just get a recommendation from staff after they've done their homework and come back and just, you know, I mean.
Have it
I'm
ready to
sure-
vote on?
What's that?
Have it ready to vote on, we can amend whatever at
Yeah,
that time.
that way,
Well,
we
and
don't
I've-
need 5 people to work on something that someone who's schooled in that knows very well.
Well,
2
and
people is schooled in that.
I can tell you, I've got problems with 167th Street. I believe that's still part of the designated truck route.
Yes, it is.
And it's 2-lane road with open ditches on both sides. So,
Just for information, currently the posted truck routes in Gardner, US 56, Moonlight north of 56 to 167th, 167th over to Center, and then Center south.
yeah.
Those are the designated routes.
Mr. Mayor, if I may,
Yes.
just for a moment too, please. Just so
Sure,
you know,
Chief.
Mr. Fovich too, Councilman Fovich, this is something the police department is also looking at and wants to be ahead of in the game, because we understand and realize, along with Mr. Foss, that as this intermodal continues to grow, we are going to be faced with all kinds of challenges regarding truck traffic, where they go, access, weights, things like this. So we're also trying to get ahead of the curve on this, to try to figure out just exactly weight, where they're going, and once we declare something a non-truck route, where do they go? What do they do once we do that? Then, you know, do we have the capability of enforcing scales, weights, officers to monitor and protect and to watch that area? But we are considering that. We're looking at all those things.
But I think also you have to remember that KDOT has requested the trucks not use 191st. The road wasn't built for that, and now we also have a sign, is that our sign, by the way, on I-35 that says BNSF traffic use?
No, it's actually KDOT posted that. One of the issues was a lot of truck drivers use GPS navigational systems, and even after Homestead opened up, that system wasn't updated to include Homestead, so they were still being directed to 191st. And so one of the reasons for the sign.
Yeah, I mean, easiest way maybe to stop them from using 191st is not to allow them to use Gardner Road at all. I mean, if KDOT's asking them not to use it, certainly the county who paved the road on 191st, and then certainly the city who's going to pay for the repairs in that city, certainly can just say this is not the best interest. I mean,
Just so you know, sir, Jeff, I mean, we are looking at that. As a police department, we're trying to get ahead of that to make sure we address it. But please understand, we cannot account for human nature. That no matter what we try to regulate, try to control, we still are going to have those individuals that ignore it and just do what they feel like they want to do.
And that's where you come in, I understand that, but we have to have the regulation in place before.
Yeah, I just don't.
I mean, usually when laws go in place, then people, the law abiders, at least know that not to do it, and that certainly takes some of your workload away, I would hope.
I did have
I
one.
mean, not everybody violates the law, right? I mean, a
No,
few.
not everybody. It's just, we'll have to see.
Steve?
Yeah, I just had one other thing I wanted to add to the discussion, and I had discussions previously with the city administrator on this, and I think that I wanted just to get some council consensus on this. I think that regardless of what happens with the electric utility, I think we need to re-examine our purchasing policies for the city of Gardner. I think that we need to examine whether or not the thresholds we have built into the current purchasing policy are adequate, particularly for the city administrator and our department chairs or department heads. So I would like to ask that we have some sort of a study on that to see if we can have a council action form prepared for us to debate and or pass in the first couple of months of next year for a revamping of our purchasing policy.
Anyone else interested in that subject?
Yes.
That's consensus.
There we go.
Yeah, and I'd check with the GFOA and about best practices and you know, some of your counterparts
Or peers, yeah.
in some of the other cities that are nearby.
I think it's long overdue that we examine that.
Very good. Anybody else, issues, questions, comments for staff? Went to the Gardner Police Department, stopped in for the Gardner Police Department Christmas party last night. Seemed like a good time was had by all. And the Chief, I want to thank you for the invitation and all the officers for all their hospitality, so.
Thank you, sir.
Absolutely.
Thank you for
Yeah. So.
Mr. Roberts, thank you.
Yeah. All right. Anybody else have anything else before we adjourn the meeting?
I'll make a motion to adjourn, Mr. Mayor.
Motion, second Harrison, that we adjourn the city council meeting. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? We are adjourned. So, next on the agenda, well, next on the next agenda is a discussion about the development and proposed duties of a Board of Public Utilities to be established by a charter ordinance. I know we've got some Gardner Energy people back there. Did you guys get copies of the handouts that council got?
Take the one. It was emailed, okay.
It was emailed, but they don't have anything on them You guys don't have that with you?
The copies that were, yeah, some of this, these are.